Welcome back to Disturbed Reality. During the early hours of the 21st of April 2024, Abraham Oseguera Cervantes, aka Don Rodo, brother of CJNG boss Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, otherwise known as El Mencho, was apprehended by authorities, accused of being a central figure within CJNG's trafficking networks. The arrest was carried out by the National Guard, and on the 21st of April, National Guard soldiers spotted 3 people outside of the home located in Atlanta, Navarro, who were carrying firearms. Allegedly, the 3 people made threats towards the soldiers and then walked into the home, closing the door behind them. Because of this, the National Guard soldiers were obligated to pursue after the people who were inside the home, as they have a legal obligation to pursue a flagrantly criminal act. Inside the home, the soldiers found Abraham, aka Don Rodo, carrying a long barrel firearm of 5.56 45 caliber, as well as a 9mm pistol. Abraham was also allegedly carrying a wallet bag which contained 38 grams of cocaine, 2,000 fentanyl pills, and 255 fluoprofentanil tablets. He was arrested due to his possession of these firearms and drugs, and he was flown to Mexico City, where he presented before the judicial authorities. During the arrest, it's worth noting that relatives of Abraham attempted to hide his true identity of who he was, saying he was instead a man named Rodolfo Garibay Gonzalez. It was proven that Abraham had obtained a license under this false name, which in itself is a crime. On the surface, it seemed Abraham would face a lengthy legal battle which would culminate in him doing serious time, possibly even extradition. However, that wasn't the case. On the 30th of April 2024, a judge ordered the release of Abraham due to his detention apparently being unlawful. Multiple newspapers, such as Milenio and Tribuna, are reporting that after a 17-hour-long hearing, a judge ordered that Don Rodo be released because he believed prosecutors presented insufficient evidence to support the 2 charges against him. Those 2 charges being, 1. Carrying an illegal firearm, and 2. Drug possession charges. In an article by Tribuna, it stated that witnesses testified in favour of Abraham, Don Rodo, stating that he was the victim of abuse, beatings and theft by federal agents during the arrest operation, though some speculate that these witnesses may have been bribed or threatened by Cartel Jalsico. During Abraham's hearing, his personal doctor claimed due to his age and various degenerative illnesses, the 70-year-old Abraham could not even use firearms even if he wanted to. The police report said that National Guard officers arrested Abraham Oseguera after entering a property in pursuit of 3 armed men. Videos presented at the hearing, however, didn't show any armed men outside the property in question. What they did show, however, according to a report by the newspaper Reformer, was a group of 5 federal agents who arrived in advance with a battering ram to break the locks of the door to enter the property. The agents illegally entered the property without a search warrant, and a short time later, a helicopter arrived to transport the detainee Abraham to Mexico City. A key element was that the dactylopsy report presented in the hearing concludes that Don Rodo's fingerprints were not on the 2 firearms seized from him. The judge concluded that the authorities lied about the circumstances of Abraham Oseguera's arrest. He also remarked that it is illegal to remove a person from their home without a warrant. At the end of the 17-hour hearing, Don Rodo's arrest was ruled unlawful and Abraham was released from the Altiplano Rehabilitation Center in Mexico State. Following the announcement of Abraham's release, journalists and Mexican media speculated on the role that corruption may have played on the hearing and the decision to release him. While the case certainly isn't over yet, and new charges may still well be raised, it seems that Abraham will remain a free man for the foreseeable future. And quite frankly, even if new charges are raised, once again relocating Abraham may prove to be difficult. We shall see how the situation develops in the coming weeks and months. Whether the decision to release Abraham was due to a genuine legal reason or fueled by corruption is irrelevant, however, as ultimately his release serves as free propaganda for CJNG. Abraham's release has essentially given the impression that CJNG are in fact so powerful that they can override senior officials of the Mexican judicial system to get their way. This serves as beneficial PR for the Jalisco-based criminal faction, and only adds to their intimidation factor, which for CJNG has been key in their rise, and is key now considering they are at war with various rival criminal groups across Mexico, including Carteles Unidos, the Sinaloa Cartel, and La Nueva Familia Michoacana, to name a few. A new CJNG battleground that has emerged in recent months would be the state of Tabasco, where they have been fighting a smaller group known as La Barredora. La Barredora, or in English, the Sweepers, are a cartel that originated in the state of Guerrero in the municipality of Acapulco. They formed in and around 2010, following the decentralization of the Beltran-Leyva cartel, and the group is also allegedly made up of former Los Zeta members. Los Zetas at the time were allied to the Beltran-Leyva organization. La Barredora in recent times have developed a presence in Tabasco state, primarily in the municipalities of Comacalco, Cardenas, and Paraiso, all areas where an increase of criminal activity has been reported. In those areas, La Barredora have become infamous for extorting local business owners and residents, as well as engaging in migrant smuggling, murder for hire, drug trafficking, and robbery. La Barredora have also allegedly formed ties to the local law enforcement, as well as the local prison system, which has given them a foothold in the state, making them a formidable foe for CJNG, despite being a smaller organisation. Cartel presence in Tabasco has increased in recent years, mainly due to the fact that it borders the country of Guatemala. Migrants looking to enter the USA frequently have to cross the Guatemalan border into Mexico, and Tabasco is where many enter the country. This makes the state important for cartels to control, given the huge profit margins involved in people trafficking. Drugs travelling through Guatemala, such as cocaine, also have to cross the Mexico-Guatemala border, once again proving to how important Tabasco is for cartels to control. When we talk about the war on drugs, most of the coverage surrounding border security is fixated on the US-Mexico border. However, one of the developing stories of the last 5 years or so surrounding Mexico's so-called war on drugs would be the porous Mexican-Guatemalan border, and in turn, the violence it is causing in states such as Tabasco and Chiapas, states that previously were relatively safe. CJNG have been reported to have increased their presence in both Chiapas and Tabasco in recent years, and as a result, have engaged in battles with rivals in both states, notably in Chiapas against the Sinaloa Cartel, as well as smaller local groups, and in Tabasco against La Barredora. Despite the various videos online highlighting CJNG's presence in Tabasco, as well as CJNG members being arrested in the state for organised hits, Tabasco Secretary of Security Victor Hugo Chavez has repeatedly denied CJNG activity in Tabasco state, leading many to question whether he is on the payroll. I, of course, am not accusing anyone of anything. It isn't clear as to why Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generacion decided to go to war with La Barredora. However, they publicly called out the group during the second half of 2023, and ever since, violence between the two groups has intensified. One of the reasons speculated for Cartel Jalisco Nueva Generacion's disdain of La Barredora was allegedly because the latter mentioned group claimed that they had an alliance with CJNG, and in their name, carried out crimes such as extortion and kidnap on the public. However, CJNG refuted this and cited they will purge La Barredora for committing such crimes on innocent civilians. Obviously, this is mere propaganda, and more than likely the real reason for the conflict is to consolidate influence in Tabasco state in an effort to gain greater control of the border. In 2024, CJNG have released several graphic execution videos stemming from the war with La Barredora, and unsurprisingly, they have released a new one on the 30th of April 2024. A typical Cartel Jalsico tactic when they engage in warfare with rival cartels. But nevertheless, what happens in the actual video? The video itself is short and was shot during daylight hours in a desolate location. The backdrop is that of a cinder block wall, and you see two male captives who are allegedly members of La Barredora kneeling down with their hands tied behind their backs. They have also both been blindfolded, but I suspect that they have already envisioned what their fate would be. Behind the two captives, you see two CJNG members who are wearing all black and are armed with some sort of assault rifles, both of which appear to have underbarrel attachments, possibly grenade launchers. They both conceal their identity with black ski masks. An intimidating figure then enters shot, carrying an oversized machete, and he asks questions to the victim on the furthest right of the image shown. The translation is simple and is as follows. The Sicario asks bluntly, "What do you do for a living?" The captive replies, "I'm innocent, and I don't like doing anything bad or violent." Referring to his fellow captive, he states, "He told me that he was a spy for Presquezo and Leek Thomas, and that he had participated as a lookout in the death of the agent from the State Attorney General's office, the body that was left on the roadway. This was done on the orders of Los Mayola, Cara de Micropanda, Gopar from Villa Hermosa, and Dientes de Lata from Cardenas, and I work with him." Essentially, the victim being interrogated signs his friend's death warrant. The interrogation does reveal a couple of interesting details. Much like a previous CJNG execution video of La Barredora members that we covered on the channel back in March, the name Leek Thomas is mentioned, who is suspected to be a high-ranking member of La Barredora. CJNG have released several videos in recent months calling out and threatening Leek Thomas, and it's said that he may have even left Tabasco State to evade CJNG hit squads who, without doubt, should they capture him, will subject him to one of their infamous torture sessions, and if he's lucky, he will get a bullet to the head. It's also worth noting that the Sicario interrogating the victims sounds exactly the same as the Sicario conducting the interrogation on the previous execution video released by CJNG of La Barredora members. Even the weapon looks identical, which is a razor-sharp, oversized machete looking to be at least 27 inches in length. I happen to believe that the Sicarios involved may indeed be the same as in the previous video. After the interrogation segment, the execution then takes place. The man who conducted the interrogation then moves close to the victim on the left of the image, and he proceeds to use the blade to snuff out the victim. The machete-wielding Sicario grabs the hair on the back of the poor victim's head, and he then takes the blade before viciously slicing back and forth at the captive's throat. You see the victim clench his teeth and grimace as he is overcome by excruciating pain, and immediately blood begins to spray and cover the victim's chest. The defenseless captive then collapses to the floor in a matter of seconds, presumably due to blood loss and pain. He doesn't scream once. The killer continues to use the blade and slices back and forth, this time around the area of the victim's carotid artery. The dirt on the ground begins to become stained with blood, and a bright red puddle begins to form quickly. After the victim's throat and the side of his neck has been slashed, the Sicario then pulls his hair hard to build tension in the neck before hacking down with the machete. In just one hack, the victim I'd estimate is 2/3 decapitated. The Sicario then hacks once more, this time completely decapitating the victim. The beheading was conducted so quickly that you still hear blood pour out of the victim. His heart didn't even have time to pump the majority of the blood out of his body before he was beheaded. Usually, with cartel videos, beheadings are very long and drawn out, but the Sicario involved for lack of a better description, is extremely proficient, which again leads me to believe he was the same Sicario as in the previous video. As in the previous video, the two beheadings were carried out extremely quickly. This one was carried out in an even more swift fashion. As you would expect, the killer then holds the still blindfolded head up to the camera as blood continues to leak, before then slapping the torso with the machete, causing a loud slapping noise. As the execution is happening, the person filming states, "Thomas and Pesquezo, we have you two located already, and we know that you're currently in Playa del Carmen." In terms of your average Cartel video, believe it or not, some would describe this as tame. But despite that, the video went viral as it was shared around Twitter, now X, with one post garnering 2 million views and 9,000 likes in less than 24 hours. The second victim in the video is believed to have been executed off camera. The body of the captive executed on video was then dumped, wrapped in black plastic, with a narco banner accompanying the corpse, which, as you would expect, contained threats directed at La Barredora and prominent members. While the video is short and the beheading is carried out quickly, it's nonetheless bloody and extremely gruesome. Ultimately, the 2024 war between La Barredora and CJNG may become a frequent topic on this channel, as already multiple execution videos have been released. And again, I'm sure more will be in the coming weeks and months. I do apologise on the shorter video duration on this one. Ordinarily, I was going to upload a video surrounding Haiti, but I'll upload that next week. I decided to create this video because El Mencho's brother got released. Of course, we reported on when he was arrested, so I wanted these two videos in chronological order, kind of thing, so we are following the reporting. And, you know, during the week of Don Rodo's release, CJNG also released an execution video surrounding their war in Tabasco against La Barredora. So I thought I'd merge these two cases together, get this video out, and that means next week I can relax and upload the Haiti video next Friday, because I haven't been feeling right the last couple of weeks, and yeah, just it gives me next week off where I don't have to worry about recording, writing a script, etc. So yeah, long story short, apologies that this video is a bit shorter. But anyway, that is the video. I hope you enjoyed it, if you can enjoy this sort of content. As always guys, thank you for the support. When we upload this video, it's exactly 3 years to the day, I believe, when I first uploaded on this channel. Those 3 years have flown by, they really have. Surprised I'm still doing it 3 years later, to be honest, because it hasn't been plain sailing. I am looking at ways to change up the content. For example, I have reached out to a fully verified Sicario who works for Carteles Unidos, currently in Michoacan, battling against CJNG. I've reached out to him, asking for an interview. Whether it happens or not, we shall see. I'm waiting on a response, but he does seem very legitimate. I just need to catch his attention, and hopefully that could be something different for the channel. Before I retire, as corny as that sounds, I would like to conduct some interviews, quite frankly. So yeah, I do still have some goals I want to achieve before calling it quits, so to speak. Don't get me wrong though, we're not going to call it quits anytime soon, so rest assured. I've been rambling for far too long. Appreciate the support. If you're new here, if you could hit the subscribe button, would be much appreciated. And also, follow me on Twitter, link is in the pinned comment, as is the link to my Twitch, my Patreon, and all that good stuff. So for anybody interested, links are in the pinned comments. But anyway, as always, stay safe, and I'll catch you on the next one.